I was walking through Bunnings today and I saw these Morrison chainsaws. I think they're about $209 or $219 or something. And I thought, oh, I've got one of those. I should make a video and talk about how awesome these saws are for the price. I bought this one about three and a half years ago, and I've just been cutting a couple. I've probably cut 4 or 5 cubic meters of hardwood, so Australian gum, stringy bark, that sort of stuff. And yeah, I just wanted to say, for the price, this is a 45cc 18-inch bar chainsaw. It's got a genuine Walbro carburetor that is tunable. The low and high range mixture screws are down here. It's easy to start. It's got great safety features for an entry-level saw. So it's got a conventional chain brake. So if you've got a kickback event and the saw rides up a tree and it comes back towards you, your wrist will knock this and obviously engage the lock. But it also has an inertia chain brake. So if you get a kickback, just the inertia, the movement of the body, because this is on, so the frame, the engine is separate to the frame, it's on floating mounts. So if you get a kickback and the saw jerks, it will actually engage the brake as well, even if your hands, doesn't manually engage it. So inertia chain brake is so much better to have. And when I was looking at saws, I was looking at Husqvarna saws, and I think the lowest model one with a handbrake, an inertia chain brake, was about $500. And I thought, look, I'm not going to use it that much that I need to spend that much on a saw. And I came across this, and I think when you're talking about chainsaw safety, that kind of thing makes a big difference. And I've had probably like 3 or 4 instances where it's clicked off the inertia brake, and it's sort of one of those things where I'm like, I didn't even think there was a kickback risk, but it did its job because nothing happened. So yeah, I think it's a great feature to have on such an entry-level saw. And when I was looking 3 years ago, I couldn't find any other entry-level saws that actually had the inertia brake as well as the manual kickback brake, which relies on, as the saw rotates up, your hand just naturally, or your arm actually knocks this open and it locks the chain. But anyway, look, that aside, great saw. I broke this in with castor oil, motorcycle racing castor oil, and just ran it flat out for several hours, and it's been great. It's got heaps of compression. Can't really show you that with one hand. The biggest issue, and I think this probably applies to heaps of cheap saws with split clamshell air filters, is they let dirt in. I was running this out in the bush for about 3 hours, pulled this off. It does have a blower, so it has a fan blower that actually blows air over the air filter to keep most of the sawdust off it, which is great. But I pulled this off after a couple of hours in the bush after I cut some firewood, and there was a fine sawdust and dirt sediment in the throat of the carburetor. Now, if you want your saw to last, you've got to have good air filtration. It's the second most important thing after oil. Like, if you don't have two-stroke oil in the fuel, you're going to seize it really quickly. But if you don't have an effective air filter, you're going to lose compression. It's going to be hard to start. It's not going to perform well, and it's going to end up failing prematurely as a result. And I don't know, maybe Morrison's fixed it between 3 years ago and now. I haven't seen the new air filter setup, but these clamshells leak so bad. So my fix is I wash it in petrol, dry it, put duct tape on, put heavy grease on the carb flange. I've got a rubber washer here under this washer, and then I pack some grease in that around the the threaded, like the piece of all thread that this wing nut screws onto. Great. When I pull this off and it's dirty as, there's nothing in the carb throat. Works really well. I've just given it a bit of clean actually. I put it away dirty, and it hasn't been run for about 18 months. And I was having a look at the Bunnings reviews, and lots of people are saying these things are hard to start and they suck and they're terrible. I put fresh fuel in with some 2-stroke oil, pulled it over 6 times, and on the 7th, and it fired, turned the choke off, 7th pull starts. Normally, when it's being used regularly, it would only take about 2 or 3 pulls to get to start. And I was really impressed, and it's probably largely due to the Walbro carb, that when I was out in the forest cutting firewood, I'd flick this off, the easiest warm start ever. No choke, just pull it over, starts first time. And I don't know what the reviews are about, but I don't know if people didn't read the instructions or maybe they got duds, I don't know. But anyway, I'll run through it. So up is on. When it's cold, full choke. Pull it over until it tries to run on and stalls. And as soon as it does that the first time, turn the choke off. And then pull until it starts. And you shouldn't have any problems. If you're having problems with it starting, maybe check your air filters clean. Check your oil mixtures correct. I think a lot of people think more oil is better. It's hard to measure out accurate oil quantities when you've got such a small container. So for example, if you're filling 40 to 1, you've got to fill all the way up to this little line here with petrol, and then all the way to 600 mils is the oil. I think a lot of people look at this, and I don't know if people wig out and get confused, and this thing here saying oil, they just fill that up with oil, and that's 25 to 1 if you want to do it that way. You really don't need 25 to 1 with semi-synthetic or full synthetic oil. And I don't really know anyone who would use mineral oil in a saw they wanted to last. It's good for braking, or really all the modern 2-stroke motorcycle oils you can break engines in on. I've broken engines in on Comp 2 Plus, I've broken engines in on castor oil. These are expensive and for motorcycles, but it's just what I have here. Anyway, hope that helps. The other thing I guess to think about is if you're going crazy with your oil, you've got to remember that oil displaces petrol in the carburetor. So the carburetor orifice, or the jet, remains the same size. If you grotesquely add more oil than is required, what you're actually doing is you're leaning out, you're richening the oil mixture, the oil component, but you're leaning out the petrol component as it passes through the jets in the carb. So more oil is not necessarily better. A saw will actually run hotter, or any kind of 2-stroke will run hotter if you use an exorbitant amount of oil. Like if the recommendation was 32 to 1, you went 25 to 1, probably not going to matter. But if you're running like 20 to 1 or 15 to 1, because you're just tipping it in there, you're going to have problems, and it's going to be hard to start because it's going to be lean, and that'll make it hard to start, cold and hot. So being accurate with the oil is a good idea. These kind of containers are not amazing. It's easier to mix up bigger volumes, but it's more likely to go stale. So if you don't have another way to use it, my advice is mix up a small quantity at a time, and even get a syringe, get a 10 ml syringe, like a medical syringe, syringe your oil in, and then you know exactly what you're doing. And I don't think you'll have any problems. Anyway, hope this helps.